Hello, this is a bit of an interesting video. I've got literally no idea how it's going to go, what's going to happen, even if it's ever actually going to make it out into the wide world, but I thought I'd hit record and see what happens. So essentially, I think I have got ADHD. I've thought it for quite a while now, and everything's getting a bit tricky in my head. So I thought I would speak to a doctor in the first instance. So that's what I'm about to do. I'm really lucky I've got insurance, and it means I can get a call with a doctor like almost instantly, which is very, very lucky. So I'm going to have a chat with the doctor, see what they say, see what steps are, and go from there. So yeah, I don't know what this video is going to end up like. Who knows? It might be great, it might be terrible, but I thought because I'm me and I record like stuff, we might as well start with this. So yeah, I might come back after the appointment, I might not, but yeah, I'll be back. So I've just come off the phone with the doctor and it went all right, really. Lot of information, which yeah, isn't ideal. My head has got a lot in it, but yeah, she did say that it does look like I've got some ADHD tendencies based on the questions she asked me and the answers I gave. So that's positive. I'm not completely fucking mental. But really now I need to have some kind of formal assessment, and she said that there are 3 options where I can either go to my NHS GP and go through the NHS system. I can speak to our insurance company and see if it's covered and go through the sort of private route and do that. I'm not sure if it is covered. I really don't know. I need to speak to the insurance company. Or I can basically just pay for everything out of my pocket. So yeah, that is where I'm at. I don't really know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. So I will come back when I've had a little think about it, and I'll tell you about what's going on, maybe, hopefully. Oh, I've just realised I've still got my AirPods in. Hopefully the sound is okay, because I'm not recording this again, because this isn't the kind of stuff you should be doing multiple takes on. So yeah. Okay, let's come back in a second, and hopefully future Kip has got a bit more of an idea of what the fuck is going on. Okay, well, wow, I wasn't expecting that. I just, I got my clinical notes through from the consultation, and yeah, it's really weird, because it just says, like, in black and white, suspected diagnosis, ADHD. And I wasn't expecting me to feel quite so, I'm not upset. It's just like really, it's a really weird feeling, because yeah, I'm not upset at seeing that. I guess it's just a shock that someone talking to me who doesn't know me but asks the right questions kind of has gone, yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, it just kind of like, okay, I'm not completely mad then. Because I do genuinely feel like insane a lot of the time. And because my brain is just so challenging to deal with sometimes. And yeah, just knowing that I'm not broken, I'm just wired a bit differently, that's quite a relief. But anyway, I need to go and walk the dog because he hasn't had a walk yet this morning, and it's nearly the afternoon, and I think I need to eat something because I've not eaten anything today. So yeah, I've got a lot of thinking to do, and I'll be back whenever with an update. Wow. Can't even turn the fucking camera off. Okay, so it's about a week later since you last saw me, and I've learned some things since then. So what have I learned? I've learnt that ADHD and any neurodivergent condition isn't covered by the insurance policy. It's I think they don't cover developmental issues or something like that, which is a bit shit. So what choices do I have? I can now go to my GP and talk to them about it and get on the NHS waiting list for assessment. And that doesn't seem like fun because I think in our area it's like years of waiting, which doesn't surprise me because of all the drama that I had with my back. The other option is I pay for a private assessment. Now the prices of these vary so much, and I was having a look at some of the cheaper places where you can get assessments, and lots of them had bad reviews, and they were like, okay, well, the assessment's cheap, but then they sting you for sorting out the medication and everything like that. So that's not great. There are sort of better places that I've kind of found, but like it's not cheap. It's like a couple of grand, and you know, I'm not living in poverty. I'm all right, but just like finding a few grand like now is just a little bit out of my reach. It's not impossible. I've not ruled that option out. And then the other option is the right to choose, which is something we have in the UK, and that essentially means that you are allowed to choose your service provider. I think that's essentially it in a nutshell. And you can tell your GP, I exercising my right to choose, and I choose XYZ to do my assessments and things. And that is actually funded through the NHS. Now, again, because the main kind of waiting lists are really long, there's lots of right to choose suppliers, all again sounding varying quality and varying waiting lists from like 4 to 8 weeks to sort of over a year. So yeah, I might exercise my right to choose, but it's just such a minefield because I just want to get assessed and see what's happening and just carry on and hopefully maybe have some medication to help things, because I'm just not coping at the moment. I'm really struggling. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'm sort of looking at different pathways in front of me, and none of them look particularly great. But yeah, we'll see where we go. So hopefully in the next update, we might have some further answers. I really hope so. I really fucking hope so. So yeah, back in a second. Well, it's been a couple of weeks since I filmed anything about this, and yeah, everything's moved on quite dramatically. So I can't honestly remember what I said in the last section. I thought really hard about it, and I thought maybe the best option for me to get help quicker, and also I guess in some ways the best option for you lot, is to see if I could work with a private company that essentially does ADHD assessments, and see if they are willing to work with me as a content creator. And I sort of have essentially just kind of put some feelers out there to see if anyone is willing to work with me and assess me, and in return I will cover it and sort of show the process so you guys can kind of understand it more and see what's going on. So I've just had a Zoom call and they want to work with me. They are willing to assess me and take me through the process and also take you guys along with me. And so yeah, I've literally just finished the meeting with them. Need to iron out a few things, and I've got to kind of work out what kind of content I'm going to make for you, because literally I've just been grabbing my phone out of my pocket and recording bits and bobs. So I guess I need to start making this a little bit more structured and a little bit more professional. Well, you know, professional for me. But they sort of basically try to aim for getting everything locked in and like the assessment and everything done within 4 weeks of it starting. Now, obviously, because I'm going to be filming stuff and I'm doing things a little bit differently, mine might take a little bit longer than that. But that is absolutely mental that I can have that turnaround time, because this has been living very much rent-free in my brain since I had that initial doctor's appointment, and I've just been stressing about it and completely consumed by it. And I'm really lucky to be in a position where I can do this. You know, I did toy with the idea that I shouldn't do this, but ultimately I've always been quite honest with the stuff that I put out. Like when I had my back surgery, I kind of made videos about that when I was sat on my sofa over there, and I was just in absolute agony, and explained the process not very well looking back at it, but I did. So if I can do that again, and if you guys watching this can sort of see the process and understand it, and I think some of you might even see that you might be similar to me in some ways as well. I think if I can do that and I can help someone and film a bit of it and give you an idea of what's involved, I think that's going to be super helpful. Because people watch my stuff. It actually scares me sometimes just how far the nonsense that I create pushes out there. And you know, if someone who's been struggling like I have watches it and goes, oh man, I feel like that too, and then they go to their GP and go through the process, if one person does that as a result of me having to, I'm not actually really foregoing my dignity by sharing my journey, but yeah, I'm sort of putting it out there. So yeah, if I can help someone, just one person, hopefully more than that, then can only be a good thing. So yes, now I need to work on a plan of how the rest of this video is going to pan out and subsequent videos. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to get my head together, which after, you know, 44 years of being the way I am, it's a really, really big relief. So yeah, you guys are going to come along for all of it and hopefully learn some stuff. I think I'm going to learn a lot of stuff about me as well. And if I can help you, then hopefully it's all good. We did discuss on the call about maybe doing like a Q&A once everything's over. So I would urge you, if you've got any questions about getting assessed or anything like that, put them in the comments and I will get someone more knowledgeable and with a much better brain than me to answer the questions. So yeah, if you've got any questions about any of this, then yeah, stick them down below. But yeah, I don't know how this is all going to pan out yet content wise. I feel like this might be a sort of a several part video. But because I've not been through this process before, I don't know how long these things take. I don't know how much of it I can film. I don't know how much of it that they want to be filmed. I've got to get the staff involved in some of this. So yeah, I think that's going to be okay. I sort of mentioned that on the call, but yeah, we've just got to do that. So it's very exciting, and I'm very lucky to be in the position I am. So yeah, I guess we'll catch up with me at some point soon, hopefully with a clearer idea of what's happening. Well, it's a few days later and I'm all booked in. And ahead of that, they've sent me some sort of pre-assessment questionnaires. I think there's about 8 of them. And yeah, they just cover lots of different things. Now, 2 of them, I've actually called up my mum because they have to be done by someone who knew you as a child. So she definitely knew me as a child. And it was actually quite interesting because she sort of triggered a lot of memories in me as we were kind of going through them and talking about everything. And yeah, I won't go too much into the details because although I'm doing this process with you guys, you know, I don't want to go too much into the weeds of specifics of my childhood, but it was just interesting reflecting on how I was when I was little and how it chimed with some of the questions in the questionnaire. So yeah, that was good. But I've now finished all the questionnaires and I've sent them back. I think they might do some sort of pre-work to the sessions to kind of understand where I'm at and what's going on. And then obviously I'll have to do the sort of assessments there as well. So yeah, I'm happy I've done that, and I can sort of just wait for my appointment to come round, and hopefully it will all go nice and smoothly. But it's really nice to be making progress so quickly as well. It's a real weight off my mind. It actually really is helping me. Well, it is the day of my assessment and I'm not nervous. I'm just interested, I guess, because there's something that's sort of nagging in the back of my mind that I don't actually have ADHD and I'm absolutely fine. I'm just a bit of an idiot, which has been said lots of times before. But it'd be interesting to find out exactly what's going on. So today I have got 3 different assessments and I've been told what they are. I can't remember. I mean, I'm literally diagnosing myself here, but what I will do is I'll introduce you to Sian, and she is the person leading the assessments, and hopefully she can explain what we're going to do. So this is what the first bit is.
Hi, I'm Sian. I'm a neurodevelopmental nurse specialist, and the first part of Kip's assessment today is going to be what we call a PIQ. It's another word for a family history. We are going to be looking at his education history, his early life, and we're also going to be looking at a family history of neurodivergence as well, as we know that it is highly heritable.
Well, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm not going to film it because, you know, it's obviously got personal bits and bobs in there, and I think there's enough of me out on the internet. I don't mean it like that, but, you know. Anyway, I'm going to do the first part of the assessment, and I'll come back in a bit and tell you how it went. Well, it's now a couple of hours later, and I've just had the first part of my assessment, and it actually went well. It's really hard to sort of quantify exactly, you know, how things go, because you're just sort of answering questions and talking about the past and family and school and stuff like that. So it's not like a test, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It does sort of feel like a test, and sometimes I found myself thinking, am I saying the right thing? Maybe. Yeah, but we're sort of done, and 1 assessment down, 2 to go. I've heard that the next part isn't going to be as fun. Would I call what I've just done fun? I think I did find it fun. You know, I like talking, as you probably know from watching me. So yeah, it was nice to talk about things, and as I was talking about things, I think I was sort of remembering stuff, and it was quite an interesting journey. And you sort of look back at, especially when we're talking about like past and family stuff, you kind of go, Ah, okay, that might be relevant. So yeah, it was very interesting, but whew, yeah, I'm good. So now, thankfully, I'm going to have a spot of lunch and then get on with the next part of the assessment, which is the bit I don't think I'm looking forward to, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Well, it's time for my next test, and I don't really know much about it. I know that we've got to move to a different room, and there's a computer and something that goes on my head. I best let Sian explain it to you because that's all I really know.
This next part of the assessment is called the quantitative behavioural test, or the QB test. This is going to look at individuals' responses to stimuli, and it's going to give us our numerical data, which we need for our diagnosis.
Didn't enjoy that one as much. Yeah, it was almost like playing the world's most frustrating computer game. And I love computer games, and I love computer games that frustrate me, but that was hard work. But it was really interesting from a sort of techie point of view, from having a sensor on my head and my head movements being tracked, and the sort of my reactions to things that were going on the screen. It was, yeah, it was interesting. And Sian did sort of give me a little brief overview of the results, and yeah, it's quite telling actually. But yeah, I would say that's probably been my least favourite part of this experience so far. But I guess it's not meant to be fun, is it? So yeah, can I have a little break now, and then Sian will explain what the third and final part of today's proceedings are. Yeah, my mind feels a little bit melted now, but I'm sure I'll be okay.
This is the final part of the assessment. It's going to form the main bulk of what I use to formulate Kip's diagnosis. So it's called the DIVA. It comes from a Dutch acronym, so it doesn't actually stand for anything in English, but it's the Adult Assessment for ADHD. The assessment's split into 3 sections. So the first section is going to focus on inattention, the middle section is going to focus on hyperactivity, and the final section is going to be looking at impulsivity. And then lastly, we have a look at the different parts of individuals' lives that this has affected.
Well, I'm sort of back where I started actually, but not. This is where the video started, on my bed. So yesterday, yeah, I had my assessment and it was all really good, and you know, it was okay. I definitely didn't like the QB test in the middle. That was a bit brain melting, but I actually came away sort of feeling quite positive and buzzing almost, really. But today I've woken up and I feel like I've been hit by a train. I had to do a lot of braining yesterday. The sessions were long, and I had to do a lot of thinking and thinking back to the past and everything like that, and going down different neural pathways that I hadn't visited for quite some time. So yeah, today I'm actually really feeling it, because there's a bit more to this story that I've got to share with you. So I'm going to go easy on myself today and not film stuff and just sit around in my tracksuit, and yeah, hopefully tomorrow or in a few days' time I can fill you in on exactly what's happened, because yeah, it's a bit weird. But now I'm going to have a cup of tea and have a little lie down. So yeah, if you go for an assessment, wherever you go for an assessment, make sure you keep the next day relatively calm and free, because yeah, I don't feel like much of a person today. But yeah, I'll be back at some point, and we can discuss everything that's happened a bit more. So it's now the next day, and I'm feeling a lot better today. I feel a bit more like myself. I look a bit scruffy because I haven't shaved in a few days, so I do apologise about that, but I'm trying to keep this as real as possible. Now, I'll talk to you about my assessment more in a second, but I think I need to explain the timeline here. So what happened was I actually approached a private company that does the assessments for ADHD and autism, and basically said, can I come and have an assessment, and in return I will document how you do it and the process and everything like that, and I will advertise your company. And they were well up for it, and it all seemed really positive. But then on the run up to it, I did a few social media posts about it, and they didn't sort of like reshare it or anything like that, which seemed a bit odd. Now, the night before my assessment, basically that company ceased trading. So I went for my assessment not knowing this, and basically out of the kindness of Sian's heart, she did my assessment for me, even though she wasn't technically employed and didn't have a job and wasn't getting paid for it. She did the assessment because she didn't want to let me down, and a few of the other teams sort of have helped out along the way as well. But yeah, that is why everything has happened so quickly, because it was going to be a sponsored video, but it's not anymore. Yeah, so it's just been really quite strange, but it does also mean that I am going to have to go back to my GP, and also I need to try and sort out something about getting my autism assessment, because I was going to get that, but obviously I think very soon there won't be a building to go to for an assessment. So yeah, I've been very lucky. The timing just worked so perfectly, well, for me. So yeah, so massive shout out to Sian and everyone who was left at that company who facilitated me still being able to have my assessment, despite the fact that they'd lost their jobs and weren't getting paid for it. So yeah, I haven't mentioned the company at all in this video, because I don't think it's fair on the staff that used to work there and everything like that. So that explains why I got my assessment so quickly. It was essentially like going private, but I was going to pay by making content for the company. But so yeah, that's how it's all worked out. Now the assessment itself, on the day, it was absolutely fine. I found it quite interesting, just sort of talking through it all, and it was quite difficult because obviously I had to refer back to childhood and try and remember things, and obviously I'm an old man and I forget things, and you know, but it all kinds of built little pathways and things, and there was lots of common themes that I hadn't even really noticed from how I was then and how I am now. So yeah, it was really, really interesting. But yesterday, the day after the assessment, was really, really hard. I wasn't going to film like the bit that you just saw before, because I felt so awful. So I basically spent most of yesterday just feeling absolutely drained and exhausted. So I will say, if you go for an assessment like this, make sure you're really kind to yourself the following day, because I left there thinking, oh yeah, I'm great, it's all good, everything's wonderful. And yeah, the following day, it was just a real write-off, really. So that was quite interesting. I mean, I had been warned that would be the case, and lots of people have said it to me, but because I felt so good after it, I didn't realise quite how hard the crash would be the next day, but it was. So what's happening now? Well, basically, I've got to wait for my report to come through. I asked Sian at the end of my appointment, well, do I have ADHD? And she couldn't tell me, because there's a process and everything like that. So I've got to wait officially for my diagnosis. Now, obviously, when it comes to the report and everything like that, just for my own privacy, I'm not going to go into masses of details, because I think the reporting is very detailed. And yeah, whilst I'm trying to share this journey with you, hopefully you can understand that, you'll just get a very abridged version of everything. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So yeah, what have we got to come? So I guess I've got to wait for my report to come through. I'm going to arrange with Sean. She's really kindly said that she will do a sort of follow-up appointment to sort of go through everything and try and explain it, because obviously it's a medical report and there will be things that I don't fully understand. So yeah, that's going to be really nice. And I think because so many of you have been interested in this process and just been in touch with so many questions, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get Sean to sort of sit down with me, and I can basically put all of your questions about like the assessment process and things like that to her, and hopefully be able to help you guys as well. I mean, you've seen my process, obviously the time scales and things, if you're going through the right to choose or just waiting on the NHS, will be a lot slower. So yeah, but obviously if you've got any questions about the assessment or how the assessment works for, say, children or something like that, do let me know in the comments or drop me an email. It's kip@kiphakes.tv, and I will try and collate as many as I can and put them to her, and hopefully you'll get your question answered. I don't know if I'll be able to do all of them, because there is just so much interest from everybody, because I think the system as it is a bit of a mess and people don't really understand it and they're not getting the help they need. So I do feel very lucky and privileged to be in the position I am, because I'm sort of on the way. So yeah, I'm very lucky. So that is where we are at the moment. I think I'm going to put this video out now, and then hopefully the next time I do a video on this, I'll have my diagnosis and an idea of what's going on, and then maybe yeah, we'll do a subsequent video with some questions and answers. So that is where we're at. I'm waiting for my diagnosis, and hopefully I'll get some kind of idea of what's going on. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. This has been quite a journey for me so far, and it's not over yet. So yeah, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell icon, and you'll get notifications as to when I release more videos, and you know, you can watch those. Yeah, I just really want that report now. Okay, right. Yeah, so yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, but for now, it's game over.